a bad word to describe it, just a time that is beyond words. And like Kevin said, I'm so glad that I'm doing this right now. I gave him a hard time about being an old man out there, but he sucked it up pretty well. Sudan was unbelievably hot. So I am still processing this, and God is revealing stuff to me slowly, very slowly, and then all of a sudden just like big waves at a time. And I think overall, one of the most amazing things that I saw over there were the people. And you know, like it's easy to sit here and to think, man, there are a lot of suffering people in Africa right now, you know? I mean, I'm sitting here in a nice cozy church building, and one of our Sundays we spent in this thatched hut that didn't even have a full roof, and we were sitting on the floor, and a lizard fell out of the grass right onto my lap, and I was afraid it was going to run up my skirt. And anyway, you know, they're over there doing that right now, today or yesterday or whatever. And that's their Sunday, and we would look at that like, man, too bad for those people that they're just not as good off as we are. And I really think that that's the wrong mindset to have, and that all of us today should not be thinking about the poor people in Africa, but we should be realizing that there are unbelievably rich people in Africa, and that some of us ourselves in the broad scale are actually pretty poor. What I saw over there was an amount of grace, an amount of love that I haven't seen in the States very many places as a whole. Like, there are people who know what joy is because they have a scale of suffering that we will never know. We will never know, just because of the stuff that they've been through. And so they can stand with hope for tomorrow, hope for the future, hope for eternity, that again, we don't have a scale to hope for because, hey, we have a nice chair to sit and watch TV on, and that makes us feel comfortable, and that's what our hope is wrapped around, and our joy is wrapped around here in the States. So, you know, like I just really want to encourage you to look at Jesus Christ for the revolution that he brought to this earth as a revolution of love. I mean, that is what he came here for. He didn't come to bring the poor people tons of money. He came to go live with the poor people and to simply love them exactly where they were. He didn't say, hey, come with me to my home and I'll make you comfortable. He said, I'm going to go to your home and I'm going to live like you live. And that isn't to call anybody out of the way you live, but just to remember that that is what he came here to do, is to tell us to love our neighbors. And I heard some people before I left say, hey, it's so cool that you're going to Africa. You know, I really don't have a calling myself to go there, but it's cool that you're going. And well, I say, hey, that's okay. I just also want to remind you that your calling right here in the States is exactly the same as it would be in Africa. It's to love your neighbor, to care for the poor, the widowed, the broken, the beaten, the damned, and to absolutely love them exactly where they are. And that's your neighbor sitting right next to you. That's not somebody in Africa as much as it would be somebody here in your neighborhood, in your community. And so I just like the song says, dear people, praise your God. And like the songs today, they're all about love. And it's easy for us to get callous singing them. But just remember, every day we can be part of that revolution. We can be part of that today by going out and spending a little bit more time loving somebody. I remember one of the hardest things for me to get used to. I like to have conversations, and I like them to progress pretty quickly and get to know somebody, or, you know, just talk. They have discussions in Africa that go on hours, and you just sit there, and you're quiet, and you're listening to a translator, and these people are just pouring out their stories. And at first I was getting so frustrated. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 120 degrees. I'm hot. I can't concentrate. I mean, this person's life is amazing, but I can't really get into it. And then I just like removed myself from the picture, and then I'm like, wow, this is an opportunity to love this person and to get to know them. And that reaps some major benefits in my heart right now, you know, processing that. It's just like, wow, I got to know this man, you know? Like, I heard his story, and I saw his face, and I saw his eyes, and every story that you hear from people over there who know God and love him begins with, praise God, or thank God that this happened. And, you know, I was talking to this lady. This is one of the moments that I'll just share with you real quick. I call it it was the Africa moment. I told Kevin and Jennifer, I was like, this is my Africa moment. It was kind of going, it was late at night, or not late, but the sun was going down, and we had been interviewing these 3 older women. We had no idea what their age were. They didn't even know. They looked like they were probably 70, but they were probably 45. And they were just sitting there, and we were talking to them with the translator, and then we got done, and they told us about their lives, and it was unbelievable. They lived this was in Sudan, and so when the wars were coming, they literally lived in the ground to escape the Arabs for years. For 10, for 15 years, they just lived in the ground. And all they could say while they were telling their story was, praise God that we didn't die. And it just hit me right then that I was like, well, what would be my reaction? I'd be kind of wondering, I'd be like, God, why the heck did you let all my family die? Where were you when the Arabs were attacking? Why didn't you stop them from burning my house? Like, that would be my reaction. I would be questioning God, like, what the heck were you doing up there, Mr. All-Powerful? I'm sitting here suffering. But no, that's not what they said. They said, praise God that I didn't die. Thank the Lord that I am still here today. So I think that we would be good to remember Africa, and not because they're poor people over there, but because there are people who love and people who can teach us about loving that would make our lives unbelievably rich for eternity.
Thank you.